Hello and welcome to another episode of Motors for the Masses, and today could be interesting because it could either be superb or superbly hilarious, because I am going to attempt to raise this seat with my awesome welding skills. Now, followers will know that I don't do a lot of welding. In fact, I've done it 4 times. So this could go really well or really not so well. So stay tuned, stay safe, and let's get cracking. Yeah, well, the intro thing, you know what I mean.
I've been a real bad boy on the town all night. Starting to calm down with the morning light down in the dirt.
Now, what I've had to do initially is put some wood under the front tyre to try and bring the bike level as though it was on the ground. It's awkward for me to try and measure the seat with the centre stand up and both feet on the ground, knowing where the seat needs to be height-wise. So I'm going to have to try and do it this way. There's no other way of doing it, unfortunately. So, as I say, a bit of wood under the front just to bring the bike level as though it's on the ground. I already know that the seat needs to go higher because my knees are almost at a right angle, if not pointing upwards, and that's just wrong. So this should bring the bike level, and then all I need to do is make sure I've got the right angle of the seat. Last thing I want is it too high at the front so I slip off, or too high at the back so my nuts are resting on the tank. So it needs to be about there, say, but obviously we'll do some measurements and then we shall carry on with the metal. Now, I've got a solution with the metal because I haven't been able to buy any online because it's just 1, too expensive, and 2, hard to get in time. So I think I found a solution, but we'll come on to that in a minute. So before I start welding, I need to take some measurements. Now, I have my piece of paper with a little drawing on there. Now, that is the bottom run, that's the edge of the tank, and that's where the other bar is going to be. So what I'm going to have to do, or what I will be doing, he says in a very positive and productive way, is putting another bar like this along here. Okay, on both sides, of course. And then brace it with like a trellis style frame down there. Now, of course, I need to cut the ends off, and then I'm going to have to put a piece in here to weld that together because the seat is shorter than the bars. Now, I want the seat to sit here up against the tank. I want it to be that height, and I want it to aim forward a little bit, but almost flat. So basically, where it needs to be is where those brackets rest on the bars there, about that height. If not a little bit lower, actually, because the back already angles up. So I think about there is where it needs to be. So what I'm going to do is measure the distance between here and the seat, but it's not going to be quite that simple because I need to put the bar inside here, and there's obviously, it's not level here, it's up there. So I need to put the bar inside here and then measure where the cuts need to be. So for now, the only thing I need to measure is the length. The bar's going to go up to about here and then stop at this bracket, or just past this bracket. The back part of the seat isn't going to be sat on, and it doesn't need much weight on it, but there is going to be a bracket coming off here to bolt this into, so the bars need to be chopped off ideally here, and then there'll be a brace go across the back, and I'm going to have to angle this to make it nice and smooth. Put probably an angled blanking plate in the end here, cut through there, obviously cut that off. Yeah, tidying up can be done later, but we just need to get the measurements right for now. So to start with, length. So with a measurement of 17 inches in my head, all I need now is tape measure, goggles and a grinder, and then we shall go in search of some metal. Follow me. So what we have here is a scrap bike that I've found, and I've already measured the frame. This is 22mm, this is 18mm, so perfect for the trellis bit in the middle. So all I need to do now is to cut out a 17-inch piece here, a 17-inch piece there, and we'll take this and use that for the trellis bit. Someone else is grinding now, so let's get on with ours. And there we have our piece of metal. Now all I have to do is cut these bars out, throw that away, and we're good to crack on. Okay, so now that we have the metal, before I start welding and grinding and cutting bits away, we need to get rid of the tank. Now, it needs to stay in place for a second because I need to make sure that we're at the right height, where the seat needs to sit, and then put the bar in so I know what I'm putting in where. I don't know whether to just put in single bars and weld them all together, or to use that frame that I brought over and put that in. I don't know, but for now I need to get this out of the way. Now this has got to come off, the back end has got to come off. Other than that, not a great deal else has to come off. So initially I did cut through this bar here, look, and I'm not sure that I should have done because that should be the back brace. It's no big problem because I can just grind off here and weld that back on. That's not an issue. Now, see, they fit inside there, but I don't know if they fit the right side. I think it might be easier. Yeah, that's not really wide enough. I want it either side of these bungs ideally. So I think I am going to have to cut that out, and just use them as two separate bars. Because that just isn't wide enough at the front, unless I turn it round. Then it's going to be even worse, I think. Because it's wide enough for there, mind you, and then on the inside of the brackets there. I wonder, and that will support the seat. I wonder if that will work. Let's have a look. I don't know. It's really hard to do it on your own as well. Okay, so what we've got here, that's on the inside of that bracket, those bars, but that's not going to reach, is it? So that's going to be way inside there, way inside, so that's not going to work at all. No, I think the easiest way is to cut the bars off, use the bars separately, weld them on, weld the pieces in, and do it that way. Yeah, so I'm going to grind through here, get rid of that, grind them off. Yeah, it's the only way to do it. Oh well, worth a try, never mind. At least we've still got the metal we can use. Cut that off as well, and then I've got just straight bars. Right, back to the grinder. So there we have the before and after. So I've given it a bit of a spruce up so I haven't got to worry about just grinding where I'm welding. So I've just taken the whole lot down, made it nice and smooth, and this should be okay for when we weld it back in. You're not going to see any of this anyway because it's going to be up in the seat, but it's going to make it easier for welding. And it's even got a kink to follow the kink of the bottom rung. So let's see how that works. So I'm just going to finish that one and then we'll crack on with the welding. Well, measuring and welding, of course. More needed. Now what I'm doing is going with the original bend that was in there and then twist it a little bit so I've got a bit of a curve and a bit of a lift. Does that make sense? I hope so. As I say, I don't want to squash this back end here. Oh, that moved. That might be enough. Yes, I believe it is. Can you see that there? I don't want to go too much because otherwise I'm going to weaken the bar. I think that'll be enough. That'll sit there. That sits nicely on that edge of that bung there. What I need is a prop on the other side, so I'm going to need, I think, a piece of wood or an old tin. Now this can act. No, it's not high enough. Idiot! Let's see here. That is too high. Too high. There. And that there. That is where it needs to be. 2 pieces of wood. Right, so it's going to be a case of welding one in first, measuring this end, welding one in this end, just to get the height, and then work out the other side the same, and then brace in the middle. But before I do that, I've got to disconnect the tank, because there's fuel in it, and the last thing I want is an explosion. So I've got to disconnect the fuel pump, or the fuel pipe at least. Right, I've had another little tweak. I didn't want to do it all on camera because it's taken a while. So what I've done is turn the bar around and put a kink in up and sideways and then up again at this end. So that sits nicely in there now. Much nicer, like so. Now we've got an inch rise. Okay, each piece from the centre of here to the centre of there is 5 centimetres. Alright, I can tweak with the grinder the level, but I just need a piece that's 5 centimetres either way, and it's going to go at an angle. So this one's going to go forward, then it's going to be one here, then one up, and then one back there. Then there's going to be a bracket on here, which is going on there. It's going to work. It's going to work. It might look a bit haphazard at the moment, but it is going to work. I just need to measure it before I take the tank off, because I need to make sure that this is in the right place. Otherwise, we're going to have issues. So I'm going to have 5 centimeters from that circle to the edge of that circle. Okay, to make my life a bit easier, I've taped the bar in place. So that's where it needs to be on the bike. Makes it a lot easier to put it in place and know where things are. That's where it's going to go. Now I know. Now I've made my measurements. I've drilled my groove, and now I'm going to weld to this, which means I've got to take it off again. Didn't think that through, did I? Bugger. Actually, no, what I meant was, now I can then put exactly on here and mark round with a pen where it needs to be welded to, and then I can take it off and weld it on there. That's what I meant. Right, now I'm going to do one at the back here, typically right in the middle where this bloody bracket is. It used to be about here. Right, so I don't think that's come out too badly. Okay, I know I'm not a welder. I've even managed to get in there, which is quite pleasing. Let's say I'm not a welder, I'm not an expert, but I've had a go, and I think that's gone quite well. So there you go. Wait for that to cool down, get it in place, and weld it on the frame. You know, they say measure twice, cut once, that kind of thing. Well, I've measured and adjusted about 14, 15 times, and then weld once, hopefully. Let's hold that in place for a second. Right, so I've now propped up the other side, and I've shaped the metal bar the same, or the opposite actually, to what this one is. So it bows out slightly and then bows in and up. So it's the same shape. Now I'm going to measure from the bottom of the frame, the top of the bottom frame, to the bottom of the seat. And on this side it is exactly 2 inches. So to do the same on the other side, two inches. Good God, perfect. I looked from the back and it looked level, and it actually is. Maybe 1 millimetre out, but we're not going to qualm about 1 millimetre. So all I need to do now is make up the pieces in here and in here to secure this side. So I'll see you at the end of that. Just a point to note, when I've been cutting these, I've been putting a little groove in so it goes over the other frame. That way then it goes over rather than just sits flat. I haven't got to fill in the gaps with blobs of weld. So yeah, there you go. Okay, I've now put the tank back in place so you can see how it looks. Now don't forget, this is going to go back inside here. The half panel, so the panel that was on here, up here, is going to be cut down there. So you'll just see a small panel up here, and then this will be open. So I'll be getting rid of all this. And I'll talk about in a second what I'm going to do with this bit here. But yeah, it's coming on nicely. I think it's been a productive day. And I've enjoyed myself. And I know my welding isn't expert, but I've learnt a lot as I'm going along, and I'm starting to get to know how the welder works, as in what settings to use, and I'm quite pleased with the result. once the frame is black and the trellis bit is black and all this is black and all that's black and all this is black, it won't stand out as much as it does now. It's like a Tony Hart painting. It's a what the hell is that at the beginning, and then it all starts to take shape. One hopes. So there we go, that's as far as I'm going to go today. The frame is made. All I have to do now, and it's really solid on there. Really pleased with that. I mean, that will be mounted on there, of course. I shall put another piece going that way and another piece going that way on both sides just to secure this, but they are welded on there nice and solid. I've cut the end of the frame off as well, and I'm going to put a blanking plate in here, and then we'll make up another plate for the lights to go on. So there we go, the seat is raised-ish. In the next video we will finish off the seat and then start to look at the exhaust system. And as I say, I've got an exhaust muffler on the way, and I'm going to make up a piece to go from the 2 into 1, and I've said too much. So that's it for this episode. Thank you very much for joining me. Please stay safe, please look after yourselves, and thank you very much for watching. Please don't forget to comment, like and subscribe, and if you want to support this channel you can click the Patreon link and the Facebook shop where you can buy merchandise as well. So if you do want to, great, thank you very much. If you have any comments or suggestions, because obviously we do listen to suggestions, because that's where I got the idea to raise the seat from, one of you. Thank you very much indeed. And so if you have any comments or suggestions, please leave them in the comments section below. And until next time, please ride and drive if you are, or walk and wipe safely, but have fun. Bye bye.